Roberta?
Yeah.
We're gonna start.
All right.
All right, are you ready? You ready, my dear? I need you to just count to 10 for me so I can do a sound check.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 11, 12, 10, 11, 12. All right.
Big sick.
Do I look comfortable? Because
You look good.
this is a little,
Put that down for a sec.
it's a little high.
Okay, look at my hands.
Yeah.
Is that okay if I stand here?
That means you can't hear?
I can hear. Roberta,
Yes.
when were you born?
You're not a people photographer. I could tell that. Should have been clear there's a camera if you have a woman. 2, when you were born. Why do you ask that?
I'm asking you when you were born and where you were born so I can...
Oh, you begin at the beginning. Huh?
Yeah.
February 17th, 1927.
1927. And where were you born?
New York City.
New York City. Where? What neighborhood?
I lived first in Washington Heights, which was an upper middle class Jewish neighborhood. My father was a pediatrician.
Wow.
There were a lot of babies around then. They were building the George Washington Bridge. I don't remember it very well.
You don't remember who very well?
Washington Heights.
Washington. Then you guys moved?
Oh, no, I mean, when I was around 5. 5.
5.
To Central Park West and 104th Street.
Nice. Was that a good? That's a good neighborhood at the time.
A little above the good part.
A little above the good part.
I mean, it was still good.
Was it?
We had a skyscraper 20 floors high.
What was your father's? Where was he born?
New York City.
He was born in New York City, and your mother?
Same.
Same. So they're already first generation Americans?
Yeah.
Where did their families come from?
Poland.
Poland.
Austria.
Austria, Poland.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you grow up in a religious home?
No. I don't know. Yeah, somewhat.
You guys keep kosher in the house when you were
Yeah.
little? Holidays?
Yeah.
Rosh Hashanah? Pesach?
Well, I went to Sunday school,
You went to Sunday school?
Hebrew school. Yeah, I guess it was a Jewish home.
Do you have any brothers or sisters?
I have an older brother.
An older brother?
Yeah.
What's his name?
Maraion Edward Hodes. He died on 9/11. When those planes
Went into the
Yeah.
into the towers.
he lived in Indianapolis.
So it's just you and your older brother.
Yeah.
Do you go to a public school when you're growing up, or you go to a Jewish school? No.
We were pretty assimilated. I went to PS 54 and junior high school 165 and Hunter College High School. These are all public.
All public schools.
Yeah.
But you said that you also went to Sunday school.
It was Temple Anshe Chesed.
Anshe Chesed?
Yeah, 100th Street and West End Avenue.
West End Avenue?
And
Were your parents religious? Were they like...
well, they both graduated from the theological seminary. My father was very influenced by Mordecai Kaplan.
Can you
So
tell me
we
who
were Reconstructionists.
You were Reconstructionist
Jews, yeah.
Jews. Can you tell me who Mordecai Kaplan was, just for the record?
He was You know, my mind at 91 is beginning to forget. But he had an influence on my father, who was Orthodox. I think everybody was Orthodox when they started out.
Yeah.
And he gave him the chance to be less Orthodox. He didn't have to lay to fill in.
He didn't have to lay to fill in.
No.
So this is actually kind of the beginning of the Reform movement. Would you think?
Well, we of course looked down on Reformed Jews.
Excuse me?
We looked down on Reformed Jews.
Okay.
We were conservative, I guess, but Reconstructionist conservative.
Reconstructionists.
Yeah. Oh, he was excommunicated.
Who?
Mordecai Kaplan.
By the Jewish community?
Yeah. He didn't believe the Jews were a religion. They were a people, a civilization.
Sure.
What can I help you with?
No, I'm just looking at that there. Yeah.
And, but there was a feeling it was a Jewish home. When my parents, years later, bought a summer home, it used to be a farm in upstate New York. My mother said, I'm not going to take 2 sets of dishes up there. And I just said, geez. I was very upset that you could, you know, you could put off or throw away or take it on. It was that superficial. Very shocked. I didn't believe that.
Did you ever deal with any anti-Semitism in New York when you were growing up?
Around the corner were
Hold on, wait a minute.
Irish.
Hold on. Around the corner?
Were Irish neighborhood. And they were jealous about taking these Jewish holidays off. You know, we just wouldn't come in. And they also used to, sometimes at some holidays, threw socks filled with stones at us. But it was not something very serious. We weren't really afraid of them.
Do you want me to take this for you?
No.
But besides that, you didn't really deal with any anti-Semitism growing up here in New York City in the 30s?
You know, when the holidays, the whole place shut down, I thought, this is a Jewish city.
Yeah.
Do
you remember, I mean, your neighbor, I mean, you are basically growing up in a upper middle class family.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys are well off. Your father's a doctor. Your mom's, what is she doing? Is she a housewife? Or
Yeah.
You guys are pretty comfortable.
Yeah.
Do your parents, years later you went to Palestine. How, actually let's do this. I'm sure you remember before the Second World War broke out that there was a lot of hostilities with German Jews in Europe. Mm-hmm. Kristallnacht and all these, do you remember these events going on? And
Kristallnacht.
People talking about
What year was that? 38?
38.
I was...
I mean, you were 11 years old. You were a kid.
No.
Yeah.
And when they brought in to the school, there were some refugees.
They brought in some refugees?
What do you want to...
No, I'm just looking here at the frame. They brought some refugees into...
Yeah, I didn't know what that meant.
You didn't know what that meant? They were German, probably? German
I
Jews?
said German refugees. No, it didn't mean anything to me. Sometimes I think all that was going on.
What year do you finish high school?
43.
43? Mm-hmm. You graduate early.
Yeah. Not because I was so smart. They had too many kids in school, so the brighter kids, which is an IQ over 100, they would skip you a grade. So by the end, I skipped 4 grades.
4 grades?
So I was 16 when I graduated. 16 when I went to...
What did you do when you finished high school?
I went to college.
Where'd you go to college?
Vassar College.
Vassar?
Yeah.
What'd you study?
Dramatic production, they called it.
Dramatic production.
It was theater.
Theater. This is. Where's the school located?
Poughkeepsie.
Poughkeepsie?
Yeah.
Upstate, no?
Yes. 80 miles.
You're 16 years old when you go away to college?
Yeah. And a young 16. Well, in those days, if you were middle class, you were innocent. Except when I went to school, and all these private school girls were rich girls, and others, like myself, a scholarship student. They seemed much more sophisticated, which they were than I.
In 1940, so how long are you in college for?
3 years.
3 years?
They made it 3 instead of 4 because they thought we might be valuable to the war movement.
To the war movement. But by the time you get out of college, the war's over.
That's right.
And what do you do when the war's over? When college is over? 46, 47 you get out of college?
Yeah, I don't know.
Are you active in college there, in the Jewish life?
No.
No.
I was like the first semester, I put up a notice, anybody wants to come to synagogue Friday night, meet me, downstairs, so forth, of my dormitory. But that that got out soon, that finished. I wanted everybody to know I was Jewish.
Why?
Because I realized that not everybody was Jewish. And they went around saying who they were or what they did. I don't know why when I would say I was Jewish or they'd ask people what their religion was. It wasn't considered private in those days.
Right.
Evidently. And afterwards, a girl came, she said to me, "You're not really Jewish, are you?" I said, "Yeah, but you don't look Jewish." Even my roommate said, "I didn't know Jews had light eyes. They should have been brown." And I thought, that really annoyed me. I didn't feel at all, outside of that was
I
didn't feel at all out of place.
What do you do after college?
After college, I didn't know what to do. My mother said when I was your age, I was helping to support the family. It's a great thing to feel when you just got out of college. And so I took it as a suggestion to get out. I had a big room, which was my brother's room, and she could rent it. I don't know if I really wanted down there, but I don't have much of a way to make a story of myself that has not things that this maybe my parents might not like to hear it up in heaven. So I think my father's circumstances, 27 was still prosperity, and 29 the crash had come.
Did he get affected by the crash?
Oh my God, yeah. I think it affected him all his life, rest of his life. I mean, we had lived really upper middle class, and still, as you say, we were living what's considered upper middle class, but it wasn't really. So she felt that they could, my father would never have the nerve to tell me I should move, so it was a good idea, otherwise I might have hung around there too long, as people do today. A lot of kids go back to their parents' house.
So you went back to your parents' house?
Yeah.
For how long?
Until she said that, I went looking for a room with some ex-Vassar students.
And you moved out?
You moved out? Yeah. Well,
how, now, mostly what we want to talk about now is your involvement with Mahal. How do you start to get involved with the idea of coming to Palestine?
when I was in Tel Aviv, I learned they had these.
Excuse me, when you were where?
When I was in Israel, making a brief skip ahead.
Okay.
When I was in Israel, there was separate or special cafes for writers or this, for that. There was cassette at that time for the intellectuals and the writers.
Sure.
And I saw somebody there I had been given the name. He was editor of a magazine in Israel. And I stopped to introduce myself. They said, how come you got here? You know, by boat and all that. He said, what organization did you belong to? I said, none. And they said, you know, this is Lands and Labor for Palestine and this Shabbat Seir has. I said, no, not even Hadassah. I just came. And that was the truth. I was taking a film course, what they called a film course at that time, at the New School for Social Research. And there's a guy from Israel there.
Where's that?
Huh?
Where's that school? Here in the city?
Oh, yeah.
So this is like 45, 46, 47?
Yeah.
You're taking a film course?
Yeah.
At the New School?
Yeah.
On 14th Street, right? Isn't it on 14th Street, the New School?
No, maybe 12th.
Okay. So you're taking a film course and you meet a guy from Israel.
Meet a guy from Israel sitting next to me, and we got to talking, I don't know what. And I said, I want to go to Israel someday. He said, what day? I said, tomorrow. And he gave me an address, and you can go tomorrow. That's how it happened. And he turned out to be, they gave him a colonel position to start a film industry in Israel, or a film platoon.
Do you remember this guy's name?
Of course, Gershon Plotkin.
Gershon Plotkin.
Yes.
And
he was a well-known stage director.
Was he Haganah?
I don't think
Probably,
so.
no? Haganah? So he basically, what this guy did is he went to a film school looking for Jewish people who are, you know...
He took the course.
He took the course?
Yeah, he was a student in the course. And his wife was the daughter of the man who designed the YMHA in Jerusalem. And it was quite a thing in those days. He was a well-known architect.
So this guy's a Sabra? He's Israeli?
I don't remember. Maybe.
Gershon.
Yeah.
So just one day you go to school, you meet this guy, and he's like, "Come."
Well, it's in the middle of the class. We've talked a bit already.
What did he tell you? What did he tell you?
He gave me this address. He said they'll get you to Israel. It was called Land and Labor for Israel.
Did you have to go to a certain address here in New York?
Yes.
Where'd you go?
I don't remember. And they said, you interested in going? Yes, do you have a passport? I don't think at that time I did. They very much wanted the passports, you know. So I got a passport.
It takes time to get a passport.
Then I was 19 and there wasn't much background to look at. But anyway,
How long did it take you from when you met Gershon until you actually left? A week, 2, a month?
A year, because my father didn't want me to go.
Tell me about that.
So I said, will you wait? Not will you wait, you'll wait, won't you? So I said I would wait. And then there was this Hadassah tragedy going up the mountain.
The massacre?
Yeah.
What about that?
Well, it was...
That happened while you were here in New York?
Yeah.
And did it...
It made a big impression on people.
What about on you?
Because it was a massacre of doctors and nurses.
60 people.
60 people.
I think 64 people.
Oh, so...
You remember that? Do you think that gave you the final push to go to Palestine?
Yeah, I think so.
What did your father say to you?
He didn't want me to go. It's funny, he brings up a Jewish, he himself, when the vote for Palestine came up at the UN
Uh-huh.
after they got the vote from Russia and everything. After the vote was finished and came out for Israel, my father went into the dining room and got a bottle of scotch, and we all had a drink. That shows he was a sentimental man. He said he wanted to be a rabbi, but he was afraid of public speaking. And so I wondered about, my mother came with me to get a chunk. I heard you had to sign up for 2 years. And I want to get stuff to take with me.
So, how do you convince your father that you're going to Palestine? Or you didn't? You just did your own thing?
Well, I wasn't living there anymore.
Right.
I guess.
What did your brother,
I don't know.
What did your brother think?
He was away to college and had become very religious there. He was supposed to be pre-med, but he wanted to be a farmer in Israel.
Your brother did?
My brother. You asked me how my brother felt.
Yeah.
He was quite jealous, but I found a letter that he wrote to a girl he knew. It says Roby, that's my nickname.
What's your nickname?
Roby.
Roby.
And Roby is going to Israel. I don't think she's going for any reasons. He never thought of me. I was the Marxist and he was the Zionist.
You were a Marxist?
Yeah, I was 16. I was a Marxist. So it was a very lively high school. You know, it was depression. It was quite a different experience than if they had sent me to private school, which I don't think they had the money for. And had girls of all stripes, mostly radical. And so I realized my brother.
What did your mother think about you going to Palestine?
But she was sort of excited. And I understand my father left my mother because she had encouraged me to go.
What do you mean?
He was so angry at my mother for going down and buying a trunk and this and that, encouraged me to go. So he left her for a time.
Really?
Yeah.
He left the house?
He moved out.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking.
Yeah, it was quite a thing.
All because of you going to Palestine?
I've never had children. This thing about Hadassah was in the paper. It was a war. He was a man of feeling. It was his only daughter was taking what to him was a dangerous trip. And here his wife had encouraged me to go. I didn't know about this at all till years later.
Yeah.
I knew my father to do this. It was quite a big move.
How?
Should have done it sooner.
Now, the whole time that you're preparing to go to Palestine, and it is Palestine still, are you taking any courses here about going to Palestine? Do you know what you're going to be doing there? Who's behind you going? Land and Labor?
Somebody had given them money.
Yeah. But do you know what you're going to be doing there?
Not the least. No.
No idea.
It was called Land and Labor.
So how do you leave New York? On a boat?
A Marine Corps. They got a hold of some troop transport boats.
It left out of the...
Very not a well-suited boat.
No. Were there a lot of women on the boat with you, or you were...
There were some lower middle class women looking for a husband.
It was like a coach, like a normal boat.
A troop transport, a ship, an ocean crossing ship.
Yeah.
How do you think they transported troops? Was it a sailboat? Across the ocean.
It's like regular passengers on the boat.
No, I think I don't even know that. There were a lot of people going to Israel. A lot of people had been in a Gareen.
In the Gareen?
Gareen to form a kibbutz
Sure.
independently. They had worked at a farm.
But that wasn't your shtick.
No.
What was your shtick?
For what?
What was your plan?
In Israel?
Before you go to Israel, what's your expectations? What do you want to do?
Oh, I wanted to be in the theater. I had majored in DP, dramatic production. I had the lead in the college.
No, I'm talking about in Palestine, in Israel.
Of course, how would I know? I never knew what Israel looked like.
What I'm trying to understand is you're on a boat, you're going to Palestine.
I'm going to contribute my services, whatever they were.
Do you go directly from New York to Palestine? Is it a direct boat? Or do you stop?
Yeah, we had a stop in Beirut, and a lot of the guys got together to speak to the pilot and asked them to skip Beirut. Is that Lebanon?
The captain, not the
Captain,
pilot.
the captain of the boat. The American
Yeah.
asked them, they were Israelis going back, asked him to skip, the war was going on, to skip Lebanon, which he would do, and the men were taken off the ship by the Lebanese army.
Really?
And they were kept in a camp for about a month. And then they were sent.
Do you remember the name of the ship again?
Well, it was called a Marine Corp. Upper and lower bunk. It was bare bones. They were shipping soldiers overseas that were not luxury transports. That's how I got there and I arrived.
How long did it take you to get to Palestine?
Oh, a long time, about 17 days, as I remember. My God.
And you get to Palestine.
Yeah.
Do you remember the date that you arrived?
Yeah, I have it written down, not here, in my archive at Vassar.
Where?
My archive's at Vassar.
There's an archive in Vassar?
They have their archives about their graduates.
Okay. So did you get to Israel before the state declared independence, or after or before?
Just before.
You must have been about April 1948, something like that.
Yeah, I think May.
Just before.
Yeah.
Where do you guys dock off? In Haifa?
Yeah.
You get off the boat. Where do you go?
They got us a hotel room
Where?
in Har Carmel.
Hara Carmel?
And then they asked what I wanted to do. And I had been recruited mentally to go on a kibbutz because they needed laborers there. So I said I was going on a kibbutz. And I didn't want to go with that Korean. They had been together a couple of years. They were going on the border with Syria.
Up north. Yeah.
So they decided I'd do as a radar operator.
Oh, really?
But they didn't really have any equipment. I didn't know that.
In theory, they wanted you to be a radio operator.
So that means
radar.
I was in the Air Force then.
Yeah.
So I started out in the Air Force, and I got lessons how to work the radar equipment. But I kept reporting of the plane.
Did they put you in a course?
Yes.
Does the name David Makarov mean anything to you? David Makarov, they called him Mac. Small little Jewish guy from Atlanta, Georgia with glasses. No. He did that too.
Mm-hmm.
Where's the course? In Tel Aviv? Where do they take you to do the course?
Someplace in Har Carmel.
Har Carmel in Haifa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was very excited, but I kept reporting planes over Tel Aviv, and they were just buses in Tel Aviv. So I didn't think this was for me. It wasn't for real. But in the meantime, I caught papadaccia. Did you ever hear that word? It's a mild form of malaria. There was a fighting platoon or something that slept with mosquito nets. So we had to give up our mosquito nets for a fighting group. And one night without them, I caught something while it was very cold and I had temperature of 103, so they took me to a hospital. I had been in Israel about a week and there I was in a hospital. And who should walk in with a dozen roses but Gershon Plotkin with a thing on his shoulder? He was now an officer in the army.
This is the guy who recruited you in New York?
Yeah.
He walks in with flowers and...
He wants me to join. He's forming this film group. And he's head of it on the same course. We took the same course. So he wanted me in the group. And that sounded very good.
How did he find you?
I couldn't tell him where I was going to be.
Right.
Yeah, I don't remember. He found me. Yeah.
So how long are you in the hospital for?
A week or two.
And you get out of the hospital, and what do?
Well, the film crew, or the up-and-coming film crew, was in Jaffa. So I had to get a place in Tel Aviv to stay. And I found a place with a middle-aged woman on... It was near Frischman Street.
Okay.
And very nice room. So
you lived with her?
Yep.
And tell me about the film unit.
Film unit was very primitive. They had 16 millimeter, which is all right.
16 millimeter cameras?
Yeah.
What was the content of the films that you were doing?
They were films for the Army. Like we were doing one for the medical corps. We were going to simulate what happened after somebody got wounded. We were doing it in Jerusalem, opposite by the Jordan, I guess.
Jordanians, yeah.
And we were in that religious section.
Sharim.
Yeah, Sharim. And we were shooting. They had rifles or whatever they had. And I don't know if this is true, if it's fiction that's become. But Jordanians shot a few trial things to see. Well, there were people running around in the movie with uniforms on, although nobody really had a uniform at that time. They had pieces of different, countries, mostly Czechoslovakia, send over some khaki stuff. So they were, and so we waved the right flag and told them what we were doing.
Did they send you to the front to film at all?
No. No, I didn't stay there long enough.
How long did you stay there? Why are you smiling?
I went around from... Well, I got to know a lot of people in Tel Aviv, and I went to the theater to see...
So you were like in the bohemian scene in Tel Aviv?
Yeah, I guess at that time, I don't know if there was
Uri
much of that.
Avneri? Uri Avneri, does that name ring a bell to you?
Yeah.
He just passed away 2 months ago. He's a very famous journalist, editor.
Yeah.
He had a white beard. He was in the Etzel. He was in the Irgun, but then he left the Irgun and joined the Palmach. Do you remember being in Tel Aviv when the Altalena ship happened?
Oh, yeah.
Were you in Tel Aviv when that happened? Do you remember that?
I know it's still there. I mean, it was there
In Tel Aviv,
till I left, yeah. No, we met kids from the from this Etzel. And I thought, wow, this is a whole other view of the war and everything, you know. I was sort of interested. I was going to see the different
fractions.
Yeah. And they taught them they were a rougher group.
What's that?
They were a rougher group than the Israelis.
Who?
The IDF, these Etzel types.
Etzel, the Irgun. Did you know anybody from the Irgun?
No.
Did you meet anybody from the Irgun? Yeah?
Yeah, but you know, I didn't move anymore in those circles where I beat everybody. So
how long are you in the film unit for? How long are you doing that for?
Well, I got to learn editing.
Yeah?
So I became an editor for a while. I learned how to use the camera.
16 millimeter?
Yeah, the Bolex.
Bolex?
French, yeah.
Yeah.
Or
Isn't Bolex Swiss? French?
Yeah,
Swiss.
French we taught. And then there was the German one. What was that? A very rough one for shooting. Not delicate like the Bolex. What was it called? A filbo? I don't remember.
And you guys were developing the film too? Or
Yeah.
you were in the lab?
No, it must have been in a lab.
But you're learning how to do editing there?
Yeah.
On the Steenbeck? You got a big Steenbeck?
No, there were no Steenbecks, the Moviola. But 16 millimeter, there are no Moviolas.
Sure. I love 16 millimeter. I shot a whole documentary on 16 millimeter.
Oh yeah, so did I.
Super 16. So what do you do? So how long are you working in the film unit for? How long? A month, 2, 3 months, half a year?
Maybe 3 months.
3 months.
And there were 2 boys that were after me.
There were 2 guys who were after you?
2 guys.
They were courting you?
Well,
Israeli style?
Israeli style. And it became an annoyance to the head of our group.
The film unit group?
Film unit.
Yeah.
He was a professional photographer.
What was his name?
Naftali Avnon.
Naftali Agnon.
Avnon. From Rosenblatt or something.
Avnon. And he was the head of the film unit?
Yeah.
Naftali?
Learned a lot about the camera from him.
Was he a nice person?
Wonderful.
Wonderful.
He had gone to Bauhaus.
To the Bauhaus, okay.
Yes.
What was Tel Aviv like in those days?
A bustling city. You saw people, big nightlife. There was a theater.
Did you ever go to
couple of theaters?
Did you ever go to the Machal Club on Hayarkon Street?
No. Mostly with cafes.
Kasit.
Kasit and others. The Viennese Ladies Cafe, where you'd have wonderful pastries. I get rather fat from eating at the... Oh, it was a kibbutz. The first thing I did was go to a kibbutz.
No, you didn't go to a kibbutz.
I didn't go with the Gareen.
Okay.
But I said I wanted to go to a kibbutz. And they sent me to one. I have Shofet.
Ena Shofet.
Ena
Emek
Shofet.
Israel. And Emek Israel.
Yes.
That's a serious kibbutz. It's very communist, old school. Ena Shofet. What'd you do there?
I was a pekak. Pekak.
Mazip kak.
A stopper, a cork that you put in a bottle of wine after you open it.
They had a factory of that?
So a cork is useful for any kind of bottle. So it was like a gopher, you know. So that's what I did. And they were overbooked at Eno Shofet, so I slept in a large tent with other people. And that's where I got Papadaccia. And then I met Gershon in the hospital. He came to the hospital.
Came to the hospital. But now you're in Tel Aviv and you're living in Frischman, and are you wearing an army uniform when you were working there?
Yep.
Yeah. And are you introduced into the IDF? Do you have like a serial number and?
Yep.
Yeah.
I have an ID card.
You have an ID card? Is
My
it here?
picture. I don't know.
Okay.
I kept it for a long
Okay, you got an
time.
ID card. So you're in the army. You're telling your parents that you're writing them a letter that everything's okay,
Yeah,
that they should calm down and everything's fine.
yeah.
Yeah.
And, well, you know, Israel, they may be fighting a couple of miles away.
Yeah. Did you ever encounter any of the battles or fighting or anything or?
Just men who had been in them.
Sure.
I saw a dead Egyptian once.
You saw a dead Egyptian, or the guy that you took, friend?
We were driving someplace and there was a dead Egyptian. Probably somebody had sneaked behind the lines. I felt, gee, this is real life. This isn't a movie, I said.
So who are the two guys that were recording you?
A French boy from the film school in Paris, quite well known even then, because I had heard of it. There's nothing like that in New York at that time, but I think in Israel and Europe they had more film schools. And, yeah. He had never met an American before. And the other was, I don't remember who he was.
The other one you can't remember?
No.
And they were with you in the film unit. Is
That's
that
right.
correct?
Yeah, one of them was
Were
a
they nice to you?
cameraman.
One of them was a cameraman.
Yeah.
So you're the editor basically. So you're in the studio editing.
That's
you're
right.
You're not really in the field.
Well, at the time we got caught with the Jordanian army.
Yeah.
We were on location. I went on locations
Yeah.
several times.
How long were you in this unit for? 3 months, right?
I guess so.
And what? And after that, you go, where do you go?
Beersheba.
Oh.
I wanted to work on a building. I was in Soleil Bonnet, right?
Soleil Bonnet.
And they were putting up. There were a lot of influx of refugees at that time.
Sure.
So I worked on building these these little houses for new
Immigrants.
Olim.
Yeah.
And first we made bricks with ziv and a little cement. Made bricks. How do you say bricks? And
Lebanon.
And by the way, when I was in the fields at the kibbutz, they said, "There's an American," and I said, "How do you know about myself?" And they said, "You don't have a hat on, and you have short sleeves." You know, people cover themselves. You know, I was out in the sun and loving it. And then when I went to shower, and the place for showering, which was all women at that time, I'm so glad to get cool and to wash myself. And then some woman tapped me on the shoulder and said, "Ain't harbe bayim, but ain't her shofet." And I realized I'd been using a lot of water. So I felt terrible and turned it down, or turned it off.
But when you go to Beersheba, you're not in the army anymore, are you?
No.
No. So you got discharged from the army,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And you decide to still stay in Israel?
I signed up for 2 years. Not that that made any
For who?
difference. Huh?
When you came to Israel, you signed up for 2 years.
When I was in New York, I had to sign up that I was going to stay in Israel.
For 2 years,
They
okay.
paid you way over, of course. And so I signed up for that. So did a lot of other people, but if they didn't like Israel, they left. And yet they had to be shipped home. They had to have their...
So you go to Beersheba for how long?
It took a couple of months.
Working in construction?
Yeah. I met a lot of people
Yeah.
from Europe, men, you know, and they said,
People who
"You're
went
the
through the Holocaust?
best." Yeah. And they said, you're from America? Why did you come here? I was so shocked. Those people were probably rescued to come to Israel. They would have given their life to go to America. Oh, I felt so ashamed for them saying things like that. And they said that they lived on the street where Fred Astaire was born. So I never heard that. He's Jewish. Oh, yeah, the whole family. And Hungary, that's where they were from. But people say that it never could be proved that Fred Astaire was Jewish.
How long, when do you go back to the States?
2 years, later.
Did stay 2 years?
Yes, I signed up to stay.
So what happened after Beersheba? Where'd you go?
I think I went back to the film unit. Yeah, I don't think I was still in the idea. We got $2 a day or £2 a week or something like that. So I could live in Tel Aviv and pay my rent. What did I do after Beersheba?
I don't know.
I loved Beersheba. I had fantasies of starting a film school in Beersheba.
Really?
Because they built a university there, Ben Gurion. Yeah.
Really? You had a fantasy of starting a film school in Beersheba?
Yeah, and I wrote a letter to Dory. He was head of MGM at that time, but I knew he was interested in Jewish affairs. And he told me in letters, you know what it means to start a film school? He wasn't too encouraging. My God.
Did you have a boyfriend the whole time you were there?
Oh. This boy I met on the boat, he came back. Oh, he gave me some things to give us to his parents. They lived in Tel Aviv, not far from...
You met a boy on the boat on the voyage over? What do you mean the boy from the boat? What boat?
The Marine Corps. It was
So
17
when you traveled
days.
to Israel, you met him on the boat?
Yes.
And where was he from?
He was a Sabra.
Okay. He was going back to Israel.
Yeah. Later, people told me he came back late.
He came back?
Late. The big war was in the Negev. The big fighting was over. And he came late. That's how they thought of him. He was, we skipped the war. So, we were quite serious.
Do you remember his name?
Of course, Shabbatai Tevet.
Shabbatai Tevet.
Tevet. He won a major book award for 3-volume biography of Ben Gurion. I think that's the last thing he did. He had a column for Arts, and he was, I really liked him. Well, his parents, his mother hoped he'd marry me, an American girl.
She didn't like that?
She was crazy about me.
Where did they live, in Tel Aviv?
Frishman Street.
Frishman? So the whole time you're in Israel, you're with him, kind of?
No, I moved from man to man.
Uh-huh.
Boyfriend to boyfriend. Yeah. I don't know. No, that was serious. Either we'd get married or that was it. I couldn't make up my mind to get married. I was just a kid. Well, those days, that was the time for girl to get married in her early 20s. I can't tell you what I did.
Why?
I met so many people in Tel Aviv.
What's that?
I met so many people in Tel Aviv. I kept a diary which was up in Poughkeepsie about what I did, but I don't think even that late. That was on the boat going across. I kept a diary.
Who's up in Poughkeepsie?
Vassar College.
So you have all your belongings there?
What?
Vassar College.
My belongings?
No, you said there's your diary's there.
Oh, in my archive. I put my film award for the Venice Film Festival there. I should have kept it. And somebody sent it after I died. I'd love to have. It was such a beautiful thing.
What'd you get an award for?
For a film. It was a short film.
Which film?
I was in the short category.
What year?
I don't know. About 67 or so. And
So are you one of the first people in the Israeli Army film unit?
yes, and a friend came from, a college friend came from Israel. She just wanted to come, and the mother let her go because I was there.
Okay.
So she'd be safe. We were friends there. She met a man she married, they lived in Jerusalem. She became a professor at the Hebrew University in world literature. It's a very smart girl.
You have this picture of Nazareth over your bed. Mm-hmm. Why?
Must have been on some trip, and I wanted a picture of a city. That was a city. Well, that's about it. I don't think I contributed much to the war effort. The radar was...
Well, you never actually became a radar technician.
Exactly.
You went into the film unit.
Well, there was no radar that worked. The British left that for the Israelis.
We were talking about the Altalena before. Do you remember when that happened in Tel Aviv?
Yes. And then I heard of the attitudes toward them. So the Lehi and the...
Lehi and Etzel?
Yeah.
What was the attitude towards them?
Very negative. They felt they were disrupting the IDF and created a split. They treated them very cruelly, the IDF. Then I met an Israeli hero.
You met an Israeli hero? What'd you say?
That's, yes. Thinking of various people. Yochai Ben-Nun. He got the Congressional Medal of Honor. I mean, the equivalent. From Ben Gurion, I saw a picture.
How'd you meet him?
He had a frogman unit in the Navy. And some Americans had joined that unit. And I knew one of the Americans from California. Oh no. Who else did I meet? Met another writer. I know a lot of writers. They may have wanted to see what American was doing there, you know. I can't remember what else I did. There was no problem in staying there 2 years. I had enough to do.
Yeah. Were you still a Marxist?
Yeah.
Huh?
Well, I met a communist in one of the homes I lived with before I got to the one on Fishman Street. And he was a communist, and I felt he couldn't decide whether to be for the Arabs or the Jews. I had my doubts about Marxism then, and later I went to some political thing, and there were people recruiting for Israel, and they were leftists saying they should have left the Jews in their place and they would join the socialist communist thing. Can you imagine? Said it was a Jewish cemetery in Europe, and the left wanted them to stay there and not come to Israel, which they had many mixed feelings about. So I came back and said, I'll have to look in my mind what I did all those months. And I had to make a living. Must have had some job or other.
Can you remember?
No, if I could, I'd tell you. I know when I came back from Beersheba, I no longer had that room in Tel Aviv, so I looked for a room. The only place I could find was a religious family, poverty-stricken, and were delighted to give me one space more than a room.
Where was this? In what city?
It was in Tel Aviv. It was, some area of Tel Aviv where there were religious people. A big family, they were very sweet, nice to me, and it was rough. They had one of those Arab toilets with the hole in the...
Yeah.
I think when I went around to some Arab village.
Was it...
I did a little film, picture reportage in a Christian Arab village.
Christian Arab village outside of Tel Aviv?
Outside of...
Abu Kabir?
I don't remember. Anyway, it was published in the Army magazine. What was the Army magazine?
B'Machaneh?
Yeah. Very good pictures. So when they give you your trip home to where you came from. So
What's that?
I had to go. They promised you a round trip at the end of the...
2 years.
Well, now that I was an expert in film, knew how to use a Bolex and edit, I decided I'd go to Hollywood with my Israeli experience. So I asked for it. I said I want to go back to Los Angeles and with a stop in New York. So no, I think after I came back from Beersheba, I think I went back again into the film unit of the Army. One of those two men had left the unit, so all was calm and quiet there. So I must have gotten my pay from the Army. So as a Tel Avivi, how did I say it? Anyway, they gave me a trip to New York and Hollywood, and I went home and stayed for a couple of weeks. I'm about getting a little tired.
You're getting tired?
Yeah.
Okay. I just want to ask you one more question. How did your experience in Israel in '48? How did it make you? Did it affect the person who you became? Did it have?
Well, Israel became a part of my life mentally.
Yeah.
You know, and I went back several times. My friends there said I should have stayed. One always thinks of things like that. And I developed quite a number of friends there. So I had not just the country to go back to, but your friends.
You kept a relationship throughout your whole life.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Certainly did. And I couldn't go back to any of the organizations because I didn't come from one.
Roberta, I want to thank you. We're gonna stop right now.
Thank you.
Thank you. You gave me a nice hour and 20-minute interview.
Oh.
It's very nice. I'm gonna have you sign a release form now.
Sure.
And we're gonna turn off the camera. Okay, sweetie?
Yeah.
All right. Let me take this off.